Hello class, and welcome to Notes 5.1, Writing and Evaluating Expressions. Our standards for today are AF 1.1 and AF 1.2. And today obviously we'll be writing expressions using variables and PEMDAS. So just like we've talked about, we do always use PEMDAS, but this is just a little reminder. Our vocabulary for today, a variable, as you already know, is a symbol, usually a letter that represents one or more numbers. An algebraic expression, numbers, variables, and operations together without an equal sign. So when we see an expression, that means that there's no equal sign and no inequality sign. PEMDAS is order of operations, of course, and you know it is parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide are on the same level, and then add and subtract, again on the same level. Okay, what I'd like you to do first is I'd like you to copy down this list into your notes. So go ahead and pause the video and copy this chart down, and then press play when you're ready for me to go over it. Okay, welcome back. What you're looking at, the list that you copied down, are all the words that mean each of those operations. So for example, addition. We can use plus, the sum of, increased by, total, more than, and added to. Anytime you see any of those words, you know you're working with addition. Multiplication, times, the product of, multiplied by, of, and twice. For example, twice a number. And division, we don't have very many for division. We simply have divided by, the quotient of, and separate into equal parts. Now, subtraction's a little bit tricky. Minus, the difference of, decrease by, and fewer than are all nice, easy, basic ones. Less than and subtracted from have asterisks. And the reason why I have those little notes around it is to tell you that those are switch words. So you need to change the order of the numbers. The first number is written second, the second number is written first. That may not make sense to you right now, but when you see it in an example, you will understand. So, for example, if I have 2 less than 5, it means you're going to do 5 first minus 2. So you're changing that order around. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. Again, if that was a little confusing for you, we will have some practice problems for you to see that. Okay, teacher example 1, pencils down. Write the phrase as an algebraic expression. And what that means is translate it into math. So instead of writing it out as big long words, you're going to write it out simplified using math. Problem A, the sum of a number and 5. First off, we see the word sum, which we know means addition. Number, I don't know what that number is, so I can use any variable I want. And then the number 5. Now, I chose to use x for my variable, which is fine. You can choose whatever you want. Keep in mind, however, if it tells you what variable to use, you have to use that variable. So if the directions say to use n, you must use n. Problem B, 21 less than a number. Now, less than should stand out to you because less than was a switch word. So that means the 21 I'm going to write at the end over here. My number, my variable, I'm going to put in the beginning. And less than I know means subtraction. So x minus 21. Be very careful with these. You will get the wrong answer if you did 21 minus x. C, the product of 6 and a number. Product we know means multiplication. 6 comes first, number comes second. And with multiplication, when it's a variable and a coefficient, we can put them right next to each other without any signs. So make sure that you do that on any quizzes or student practice. Problem D, the quotient of 48 in a number. When we're working with quotient, we set that up as a division problem or as a fraction, same idea. So we have our fraction bar or division bar. 48 was first, so that's the numerator. A number was second, so our variable goes in the denominator. 48 over x. And problem E, the square of a number increased by 3. Notice we have a comma that tells us it's a two-step problem. So first we need to square our variable, which means use the exponent of 2. Then we need to increase whatever we get by squaring it by 3. So x squared plus 3. You could even put parentheses around the x squared if you wanted to show that you're doing that first, then adding 3. Okay, go ahead and try these 4 out on your own. Be careful with number 4. Make sure you read that. It's a very tricky one. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how you did. Number 1. A number increased by 15. X plus 15. Number 2, 8 times a number. I know I've got that multiplication, and I want to write it without any signs, so simply 8x. And notice it doesn't tell you which variable you have to use, so if you use something other than x, that's perfectly fine. Number 3, 4 divided by a number plus 3, and you do that division first, then I can add 3. 4 divided by x, then plus 3. Again, if you wanted to put parentheses around there, you could, but you don't need them. Number 4, very tricky. 17 less than. Right away I know I'm working with subtraction, so I'm going to put my subtraction sign. And because it says less than, I need to put the 17 at the end. At the beginning I'm going to have the cube of a number. So x cubed minus 17. Be very careful on that one. If you made a mistake, it's okay. That was a very challenging one. Just make sure you correct it. Teacher example 2. A tutor charges $10 for a trip fee and $15 per hour for tutoring. What's the total amount charged for a $2 session? Okay, first thing, just for getting there, the tutor charges $10. So if they just showed up at your door, rang the doorbell, and left, they would get $10. Then if they stay, they get an additional $15 per hour. And of course this tutor stayed for 2 hours. So 10 plus the 15 times 2. Of course, we see order of operations tells us to do multiplication first. And then we can add, and we end up with $40. Now it says write an expression for the tutor amount charged by the, that should say for the amount charged by the tutor after working H hours. So of course, everything here would be the same except we don't know how many hours it is. So instead of the 2, we're going to have H. 10 plus 15 times H. Remember, I cannot add the 10 and the 15 together because I have to do that multiplication first. Okay, so try this out on your own. Do this exact same thing. Okay, let's see how you did. Write an algebraic expression for the cost to buy a hat and M DVDs. So first of all, we know we're just getting one hat, so that's $8, plus some number of DVDs. I don't know how many there are, so I've got $12.80 times my M. And notice I dropped off the extra 0. I can do that during the problem, but when I get to my final answer, if it's money, I do need either no decimal places or 2. But to simplify it, I took it off to make it a little easier. Okay, evaluate the expression when m equals 5. So instead of m, I'm going to write 5. I need to do my multiplication first according to order of operations. And notice I don't need that 0 anymore either. So I'm just doing 8 plus 64. And I end up with $72. Last teacher example here. We are looking at packs of copy paper. And if I get white paper, it's $3 each. Colored paper is $5 each. 4 teachers decide to purchase several packs of each type of paper and divide the cost evenly among themselves. Write an expression for one teacher. So I'm getting some number of white paper, so I'm going to use W for my white paper, and some number of colored paper, so I'll use C for my colored paper, and then I'm dividing it among 4 teachers, so I divide it by 4. Okay, notice you do need to have 2 different variables because you could get 2 packs of white and 10 packs of colored or something different. So these variables aren't necessarily going to be the same. Now when I go to problem B, teachers buy 3 packs of each type of paper. So notice both of my variables are going to represent 3. Then I do my multiplication. Notice I've got my grouping symbol, so I have to take care of everything in the numerator. And finally I can divide and I end up with $6 per teacher. Okay, Go ahead, go on to the quiz. Watch out. It does say, let x represent the number. So that means you must use x for your variable. Please get rid of all extra spaces so you don't have any spaces if you don't need them. And get rid of all operations that you don't need. For example, multiplication signs, because we don't want that multiplication in that x. So get rid of anything you don't need. Have a great day.